Hi, welcome to Introduction to Blended Learning, presented by me, Tara Graves, for the Washoe County School District 21st Century Learning Division. The objectives for today's webinar are as follows. Identify models of blended learning, understand why blended learning is beneficial for students and teachers, understand the role of the teacher in a blended learning environment, consider examples of blended learning lessons, look at barriers and solutions for blended learning, and motivate you to explore blended learning more in depth. Our guiding framework we like to call the 6 dimensions, and this comes from the Microsoft Innovative Teaching and Learning Research. And this is a one-page guide that kind of condenses all 6 dimensions very simply. But basically, we have the 6 dimensions across the bottom. You see those 6: collaboration, knowledge construction, real-world problem solving and innovation, use of technology for learning, self-regulation, and skilled communication. And we have teachers use this when they are doing their lesson planning, and they look at whichever dimension they think best supports what they're doing, and they look and see at the different characteristics. So let's say skilled communication is one of the dimensions they think fits really well with the lesson they're planning. Starting at the bottom, they move up as they answer yes to each of those boxes. So the first one for communication is the activity requires extended or multimodal communication. So if they look at that and say, well, yes, I think my activity does, so let's move up to the next one. Students must provide supporting evidence or communicate to a particular audience. So if they can say yes to that, they move up to the third one and they look at this criteria. Students must provide supporting evidence and communicate to a particular audience. As we move up the top of each arrow, you are moving toward a more student-centered learning environment because of the types of learning activities you are creating. So when the video stops, you'll be able to take a closer look at that guide and download it and save it if you'd like for future reference. So moving on, this is a cute little video, blended learning in plain English, and this is a kind of a homage to the Common Craft videos, also using in plain English after each one of their little tutorials. So this gal talks to you about what blended learning is. So when the video stops, you'll be directed to a link which will open up this video in your browser. Okay, well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that video and hope it got you thinking a little bit more about what blended learning is. What I really like is that cartoon at the beginning where she takes you through each of the frames and how teaching has changed and the tools that teachers have has changed, but if you continue doing the same type of activity, no matter what kind of technology you have, then you're really not progressing in your practice. So from the very beginning of students having to copy stuff down that was written up on the chalkboard, all the way to, okay, now I have the internet, but I'm still having students do the same type of activity. So I really like that. It really illustrates that nicely. Blended learning also allows for more differentiation. It really creates a stronger learning community. Students who may not necessarily participate that much face-to-face can find their voice when they're online. So that's really a nice thing to see happen when students are able to do things online as well. parent connections, so parents can see what their children are learning at school and they can have access to the same materials that the students are using in class. And again, it's all about access 24/7. Our kids are walking around with a little computer in their hands. Most kids have smartphones, and that's just the way it is. It's just going to be increasing as the years go by. So we need to learn how to teach using all the tools that we have available. Okay, so let's look at, there's many models of blended learning, and we're going to go through each one of them just briefly so you get the idea of what options you have when using blended learning. If you look at the yellow star on the slide, you'll see it will move as we go to each separate model. So we're going to start here at the rotation model. Excuse me. So there are 4 models of blended learning that categorize the majority of blended learning programs emerging across the K-12 sector today. The first one is the rotation model. This is a program in which, within a given course or subject, for example math, students rotate between learning modalities, at least one of which is online learning. Other modalities might include activities such as small group or full class instruction, group projects, individual tutoring, and pencil and paper assignments. So under the rotation model, we have 4 sub-models. The station rotation, also referred to as classroom rotation or in-class rotation, is a rotation model implementation in which, within a given course or subject, students rotate on a fixed schedule or at the teacher's discretion among classroom-based learning modalities. The rotation includes at least one station for online learning. Other stations might include activities such as small group or full class instruction, group projects, individual tutoring, and pencil and paper assignments. Some implementations involve the entire class alternating among activities together, whereas others divide the class into small group or one-by-one rotations. The station rotation model differs from the individual rotation because students rotate through all of the stations, not only those on their custom schedules. A lab rotation is where students rotate on a fixed schedule or at a teacher's discretion among locations on the school campus. At least one is a learning lab for predominantly online learning, and the others are classrooms for other learning modalities. The lab rotation model differs from the station rotation model because students rotate among locations on the campus instead of staying in one classroom for the blended course or subject. Flipped classroom, you may have been hearing a lot about lately. It is actually a rotation model. Students rotate on a fixed schedule between face-to-face, teacher-guided practice or projects on campus during the standard school day and online delivery of content and instruction of the same subject from a remote location. Often this is at home after school. The primary delivery of content and instruction is online, which differentiates a flipped classroom from students who are merely doing homework practice online at night. The flipped classroom model accords with the idea that blended learning includes some element of student control over time, place, path, and/or pace, because the model allows students to choose the location where they receive content and instruction online. And then last, under rotation, we have the individual rotation. This is where students rotate on an individually customized fixed schedule among learning modalities. at least one of which is online learning. An algorithm or teacher sets individual student schedules. The individual rotation model differs from the other rotation models because students do not necessarily rotate to each available station or modality. And we don't see this very often in classrooms. Mostly what we see, especially in like an elementary class, would be the station rotation, where students are rotating within their own class. Or you could also think of the lab rotation in an elementary school where students are in a class together, but they go to music, or they go to the computer room, or they go to the library. That could be considered a lab rotation as well. The flex model is it's the backbone of student learning. So the online piece of it is the largest part of what they're doing. Even if it directs students to offline activities at times, students move on an individually customized, fluid schedule among learning modalities, and the teacher of record is on site. The teacher of record or other adults provide face-to-face support on a flexible and adaptive as-needed basis through activities such as small group instruction, group projects, and individual tutoring. Some implementations have substantial face-to-face support and others have minimal. For example, some flex models may have face-to-face certified teachers who supplement the online learning on a daily basis, whereas others may provide little face-to-face enrichment. Others may have different staffing combinations. These are useful modifiers to describe a particular flex model. So the flex model, if you think about the types of schools we have in our area, we do have some like Connections Academy, any of our other kind of, they're online based, but the kids come to an actual building on a regular basis. And they can meet with their actual teacher of a course or a teacher that is just there that can help. The third one is the a la carte model. This used to also be known as the self-blend model. It's a program in which students take one or more courses entirely online with an online teacher of record and at the same time continue to have brick and mortar educational experiences. Students may take the online courses either on the brick and mortar campus or off-site. This differs from full-time online learning and the enriched virtual model because it is not a whole school experience. And then our last model is called the enriched virtual. This is a whole school experience in which students divide their time between attending a brick and mortar campus and learning remotely using online delivery of content and instruction. Many enriched virtual programs began as full-time online schools and then developed blended programs to provide students with brick and mortar school experiences. The enriched virtual model differs from the flipped classroom because in enriched virtual programs, students seldom attend the brick and mortar campus every weekday. It differs from the a la carte model because it is a whole school experience, not a course-by-course model. So why blended learning? There are 10, I really like this graphic, and we're going to examine each of these. So through a blended learning program, educators can move beyond the one teacher, one textbook model of education in a host of ways, and those include allow students to move at their own pace and excel, provide just-in-time intervention, grouping students more effectively, providing real-world experiences, helping students construct meaning rather than just memorizing and often forgetting facts, creating learning opportunities across grade levels, subjects, departments, and between teachers and students as well. Teaching problem solving in multidisciplinary units, encouraging 21st century collaboration through video conferencing with authors, speakers, and other students from around the world, and increasing productivity both for themselves and students. The trend toward blended learning within a district often begins in a specific school or grade level. For example, some districts start using blended learning strategies with their alternative education program, as the students are monitored by teachers at their alternative school, but are supported by their general education teachers' instruction, which can be delivered virtually. Others have found it makes sense to prepare students taking AP classes by providing virtual summer reading groups that include discussions and self-assessments in pre-class learning. As blended learning takes hold with the starting group, the enthusiasm often quickly spreads when teachers see the opportunities for stronger student engagement and enhanced learning. Some districts have also found it helpful to implement online professional development programs as another way to help teachers gain acceptance and make the transition to blended learning. So the courses that we offer that you are taking, you're taking one of them right now, is a blended environment. You get some of your instruction online, some of it face-to-face, and it's really differentiated based on what you're interested in. You go at your own pace. We try to model that as often as we can so that teachers see a good way that they could do it as well. So more reasons why. Why should you do blended learning? And this is Catlin Tucker's 10 benefits. Excuse me. So let's just dig a little deeper into these. Saving time. That's one thing teachers don't have enough of. And so instead of preparing materials, copying things, you have an online home base where you post everything and students can access materials that way. So you're not spending any time really having to copy things on the copier. Save money. Definitely, again, thinking about how much schools spend on copy paper and copy machines and the maintenance on copy machines. If we took all the copy machines and copy paper out of schools and use that money, we could probably fund a one-to-one laptop program. Seriously, it's a crazy amount of money that we spend. Less time grading. Now, how does that work? Well, students can use resources they find online to supplement their learning. They can use online discussions to interact with the content and each other. They're much more engaged, and they get immediate feedback, and you can use other alternative assessment methods. So many tools that are out there for classrooms, you can set up self-grading type of assessments. So number 4, spend more time in class doing what you love. Now, what we love, all teachers, we like to be with kids. We like to talk to them. We like to see them learn. We like to hear them share what they're learning. And so by designing innovative learning opportunities and moving your classroom into a more collaborative, student-centered environment, you can spend more time with them and addressing individual needs. If they have access to content and instruction, either before they come to class or after, you can spend more time actually expanding on the content that they've already ingested or digested. Number 5, increasing one-on-one interaction. So again, I said before, some shy students are much more comfortable participating in an online discussion. They feel less inhibited and able to really say what they feel. And they also have easy access to you, the teacher, and to each other. So having something online for them to interact with really can bring them actually closer together as a learning community. Number 6, give students opportunities to practice standardized exams online. Now we know that those exams are not going away anytime soon. And why would you want to spend your precious class time with anything that is like drill and kill kind of practice? And I'm not saying that this is something you should only use this type of strategy with the blended learning, but there are ways that you can link games and other skill building type of activities on your website or on your classroom home base, whatever it is you use. Maybe it's Moodle or Edmodo or some other online sort of like an LMS that was mentioned in that video, but you can assign those as part of what they're doing, and when they come in, you're not spending the time drill and kill. They can also collaborate online. They get specific differentiated help, so if there's something that they are just not getting, they can still access more and more resources and reteaching that one teacher in a classroom just can't provide to all of their students every day. So number 7, facilitate group work that works. The one thing that's really cool about doing things online is you can't just be sitting in your seat and that counts as participating. Online, you actually have to do something. You have to participate in a discussion, or you have to submit an assignment. You have to do something in order for your participation to be counted. And so this is really, sometimes people think online learning is so much easier, but it really isn't, because even with professional learning classes for teachers, you could spend the time in the seat and get your credit, but when you're doing an online class, you actually have to do some work and turn it in, and it has to be quality. So it's much better, I think, for students to be able to have this opportunity to interact with content and their peers and the teacher as well. They also have more time to reflect. They have more time to let something sink in if they need to rewatch a video, or if they need to reread something. They're not holding anybody else back. And by the same token, if I'm moving faster than my classmates, I can move faster and get and really challenge myself. So it's a really win-win situation when you do blended learning. Number 8, communicate more effectively with all students. Again, once you've gotten students into the habit of posting questions, checking the calendar to see when things are due, when they're really enmeshed in that type of environment, it really does save you time in the long run. It takes time to set up, but it certainly does save you time. And students as well. So if they're sitting at home and trying to figure out an assignment, or they're just not clear on something, they can post a question. And in very strong learning communities, the teacher is not always the first one that answers that question. It's someone else in the class, or more than one person in the class. So it's just wonderful to see when a learning community starts to grow together. You can also alter due dates and announcements and things like that. They're much more changeable when they live online, and it's easier to notify students. There's so many tools out there that will text students for you, or if they subscribe to your blog or wherever it is that your home base is, they can get notified on their phone that they have a new assignment or if they have a new grade. It's just a great way to run your classroom. Number 9, build community and relationships. Again, sometimes kids, they're pretty brave when they're online, and sometimes that's not a good thing, but with the right kind of guidance and training um, and consequences, they will learn how to be good online learners and part of a learning community. And being able to communicate 24/7 with their classmates or their teacher is very powerful, and it really does bond students to each other and to you as a teacher. And the last one and the best one is to have fun. It really is fun to be able to share current resources, videos, images, audio, share documents. Um, if you're also connecting with other teachers who are doing blended learning, it really keeps the content fresh and relevant and engaging for kids and for you as well. So, what is the role of the teacher in a blended learning environment? It really is that of a facilitator. This is the hardest thing for teachers to change to, a facilitator. Um, Most of us in our undergrad pre-service days, and even in our first several years of teaching, we feel very strongly that we are to be the keeper of knowledge or the owner of knowledge in our classroom. And now that we have technology available on the internet, it really is not necessary for us to do that anymore. Um, we have to move away from feeling like we are the only conduit of knowledge and information. We're not. And that's scary for many teachers. Mostly high school teachers and higher ed teachers have a hard time letting go of being the expert. Now, it's not to say that what you know isn't valuable to students. It is. But there are many ways for you to share your knowledge and your wisdom by creating environments which allow them to learn at their own pace and to discover the information. So thinking about what needs to happen in order for a blended environment to happen. So thinking about all the prep work behind the scenes, all the content and the process. Everything needs to be planned out ahead of time so that it allows students to then take it into their own hands and make some choices based on quality information and resources that you've already curated for them. Students really do need to be prepared in order for more active learning and engagement to happen. It is a serious change in pedagogy for many teachers, and for them to step back and let students go for it. Now, it's not to say that all you have to do is, throw a bunch of resources on a website and say, okay, kids, let's learn. You really need to kind of deprogram them from the traditional, lecture and notes type of learning experiences they have, because they're not used to learning in this way. So it's a learning curve for both students and teachers. Some of the things that you need to do that are behind the scenes, you're having to curate resources. You have to set up the online environment and have to think about the tasks that they will do online. You can't just, throw a lecture up on a website and then have them take notes. That is not effective. Think back to that cartoon strip at the beginning of that video. You have to change the tasks you're asking them to do. Your classroom management needs to be strong. You need to have clear procedures and expectations. And it's also helpful. It's doable without, but it is very helpful to make sure students have access to the technology and the devices both in class and when they go home. So this little scene from Wizard of Oz, when they see the wizard behind the curtain and he says, "Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain." That's what teachers become. You become that wizard behind the curtain. If you look at the four characters there, you've got Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Lion and the Scarecrow. They really do represent the essence of collaboration, problem solving. They work together. Everyone has their own strengths and talents, but they are very goal oriented. Each of them wanted something special, but they also wanted to help get Dorothy home. And because the wizard created an environment where this could happen, everything worked out. So think about you becoming the creator of the magic in your classroom when you use blended learning. So here's some samples of what does this look like. So what do students do in class, and then what do they do at home? And the next few slides have samples, and these all come from Catlin Tucker's book, Blended Learning in Grades 4 through 12. Excellent, excellent book. And I'll show you the book again at the end. I highly recommend it if you are seriously thinking about blending your classroom. So here's one sample. And you can just see it. It shows you the progression of what students are doing at home versus what they're doing in class. I know science teachers, especially, they have a hard time trying to get a lab experiment into a class period. And so consider the power of being able to start the lab experiment immediately when students come in, because they've got all of that prior content and information that they need before they come to class. That's huge. So, but it does rely, again, it does rely on students actually doing that work at home. This doesn't happen overnight. This does take some training and support and modeling for students what the expectations are. And again, they're not used to this. So it doesn't come in an easy overnight type of thing. Start small. So this math one, it makes me think about when my daughter was in middle school taking algebra. And algebra is not my best subject by far. If the teacher would have done some blending, it would have really made my life and my daughter's life a lot easier. If she would have recorded some tutorials on certain types of problems, and my daughter and I could watch those tutorials at home the night before, and then when she go to class, then she would actually be able to practice some of those problems with the expert in the room. This is where that expert teacher really is used to the maximum. So instead of lecturing in class and then sending kids home with 30 problems to solve, this is that flipped part. You flip it, so you have students watch one or more short little tutorial videos on how to solve certain problems, and then maybe they have one or two practice problems for each different type. But the expectation is that they come to class with a question. You need to have a question about, the homework or the assignment, and be ready to engage in more practice and discussion. It's much more powerful, and it's much less frustrating for the students and for the parents, and I think for the teacher as well, because you actually will have time to work with students who need the extra help, and the ones who are, on top of it and know it, they can move on. And again, it does rely on having some devices handy in the classroom and at home. And so our next topic is to look at the challenges. Now, I'm not naive. I know that, all of these ideas can't just be into play immediately. We do have some challenges, and we have these challenges all over the district, all over the state, all over the world. So the first one is connectivity. Wireless connectivity is what we need, and we need it everywhere we go. It needs to happen because the kids need to be able to access resources whenever they want to. The next challenge is a device. Again, not every school has enough devices for students to have them at all times, and not every family has access to a device at home either. And we're going to address each of these challenges in the next few slides. So this is just kind of an overview of what the challenges are. So this next picture here represents our testing. It's pretty tough right now to be innovative and to do things that are different in the classroom because many teachers are very stressed about their students passing the standardized tests and all of that goes with it. And so we are in a conflicted system in education right now. We have our, testing culture, but we also, teachers want to have authentic learning. They want students to love school, to be productive in school. Most teachers are focused on students being able to, yes, be college and career ready, but also to learn how to learn and like to learn. You also have this conflictedness of controlled students versus engaged students, teacher-directed versus self-directed. We have all these conflicts going on, and which makes teaching pretty stressful. So that's a huge challenge. And then we have our friend down here where he wants to do something different, but he just doesn't know how. He doesn't know how. So the lack of know-how, the lack of professional learning that he can do to learn how to do blended learning, but teachers don't always have the time to take to learn how to do something different. And then support. Does your administrator support you? Do your parents support you? Do your other grade level teachers or content area teachers support what you want to do? If you've mentioned, hey, I'd like to do blended learning, it's really difficult to be an island to yourself when you're trying to make a big change. So that's a challenge as well. So let's take a look at each of these challenges. So the first one, connectivity. I just need to say that now is the time that we can no longer make excuses. We cannot say, well, kids don't have access. They need to get access. That's plain and simple. No ifs, ands, or buts. Schools need to get access. Students need to get access. And the school aspect it's difficult. Trust me, I know that. I know that our wonderful IT department is, working tirelessly to bring all of our schools into a wireless world. It takes time and it takes money. Same with our students. So possible solutions for that are there is free Wi-Fi all over town. Your libraries have it. You have free Wi-Fi at Starbucks, free Wi-Fi, and I know those are on every corner pretty much. McDonald's has free Wi-Fi. As you explore the resources, this little logo here, you can go to this website and it will show you where free Wi-Fi is in your area. And this link here as well, free Wi-Fi hotspots in Reno and Tahoe. So it's out there. We just need to educate our students about where to find it and not accepting any excuses. Other ideas, they can come to school early or stay after school. They can go to a friend's house that has internet. They can go to grandma and grandpa's house that has internet. There's always a way to get what they need, and we just need to really encourage them, talk to parents about that this is doable. This is not something that just puts up the biggest roadblock and we're done. So that's the first one. Our next one is student devices. And I said before, most of our students have some kind of a smartphone. It might not be the latest and greatest, but anymore, even students in the poorest neighborhoods, you'll see with a cell phone because they've made that a priority. So think about all the game consoles that kids have. They have Xbox, they have PlayStation, a Wii. Those aren't cheap. And anymore, netbooks or small laptops are getting cheaper. Again, it's about priorities. So making sure that you get that message across to parents that this is a priority, that their children need to have a device and they need to be able to connect online to be a part of this connected world that we live in. Lack of know-how. So number one, you're here, aren't you? You're taking this class. So you're on your way to knowing how. Keep educating yourself. Okay? You can read. You can surf the web. You can go into our list of resources in Edmodo. Like I said, this book is awesome, this blended learning in grades 4 through 12. And it's Catlin, not Caitlin. It's Catlin, C-A-T, Tucker, who wrote that. And she's got lessons and ideas for all content areas, English, math, science, social studies. Excellent book. And then collaborate. You are probably watching this webinar as part of a professional learning class. So there are other teachers taking the class that you can connect with and just really share in what you're learning, what you're experiencing, what challenges you're facing. Use each other as a good source of support. In our conflicted system, you need to do this gradually. Don't expect to, be 100% blended environment by tomorrow or even next week or even next month. You must have administrator buy-in. It's good for you to share your experiences with other teachers at your school as you are undertaking this challenge. And really, if you look at Common Core, 21st century learning is all over it. So when you look at things like collaborating and critical thinking and being able to communicate about their learning, all of the dimensions are supported throughout all of the Common Core. And then boldly go. I don't say that lightly. It does take a bold risk taker to change their classroom into a blended learning environment. And you will have successes. You may have more failures when you first get started, but stick with it because your students will be the benefactors in the long run, and you will as well. Parent support. You need to make it easy for parents to help their children. Like I said about my daughter with algebra, it would have been wonderful to have that available and be able to not be so stressed every single night when we had to do homework. And thinking about our students in where they don't have English speaking parents or they speak very little English, how wonderful would it be for them to be able to sit with their child, watch a video together, and get some kind of understanding of what teachers are asking their children to do. You can share resources with them. You can have phone calls with them about what you're trying to do in your classroom, and definitely explain the benefits of this type of learning environment. So our next section are some of the tools that are wonderful for serving as a home base. One of them is Edmodo, and many people in our school district are already using Edmodo with their students, and several professional development courses and workshops have used Edmodo as a place to hold discussions and shared resources. So let me go ahead and click on Edmodo. And see, Edmodo is called the Facebook for Schools. And I've used Edmodo for several professional learning workshops that I do. You can see these over here. And let me just show you. You can have posts and replies. You can share links and documents. You can create, this alert is like an announcement, assignments, quizzes, polls, and so on. They have a new Common Core thing called Snapshot that allows you to really personalize learning activities that students are doing. You can put folders into the group. You can make small groups within a class. Okay, so there are a lot of great things. We will have another workshop on Edmodo specifically, so if you want to learn more about using Edmodo, you can do that workshop as well. Moodle is a learning management system, and it's open source, which means it's free to use. The only downfall to that is that there's not like a phone number you can call right away if you have a problem. We use Moodle in our district mostly for online professional development courses, but we do have some classroom teachers using it as well with their students. It really does have a lot of nice features, discussion forums, grade book, quizzes, and so on. I mean, there's just a lot of things you can add to it. And then the other two that I don't use very often, Schoology and Collaborate Classroom. So both of these are, it's an online learning platform, so it's like a learning management system. And same thing with Collaborate Classroom. So when the video stops, I'll have you just investigate a little bit of these four options, and then come back to the video, or come back to the webinar, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I hope you found at least one of those tools intriguing. So you could actually get started with, like Edmodo, you could get started tomorrow with trying to do some things that are moving you forward in your plan for a blended learning environment. So getting started again, you need to notify parents and your administrator. You need to talk to them, make sure it's okay that you're doing that, and let parents know ahead of time. So don't just say, hey, tonight they have an assignment and it's on Edmodo. Make sure that they know way ahead of time, what is the tool you're going to use? How does it work? What am I expected to do? How do we access it? And so on. Start small. Maybe have something once a week that's an optional assignment or an extra credit assignment. Ask for feedback, so not only from your students, but from the parents as well. See what things they like, what they don't like, and then go from there. And then gradually add more as you become more comfortable. All right, so thinking back to our 6 dimensions, which 3 are supported most by doing blended learning? And when the video stops, you'll be directed to a link where you can open up that guide again, the 6 dimensions guide, and then write in your answers below in the text box. Did you get them right? Knowledge construction. Because students have opportunities to see multiple articles or websites or resources on a certain topic, it gives them the opportunity to evaluate, to analyze, to interpret that information. Very different from the teacher presenting all the information to all the kids at one time, and whereas that's very limiting. Doing blended learning allows more avenues of information and opportunities for that higher level critical thinking to come in. They can apply their knowledge immediately. So students can watch a video and immediately write what they thought into a discussion forum. It's interdisciplinary. It crosses all disciplines. It's easy with technology to bring in different viewpoints for different topics. And it doesn't have to be a one-way focus on something. Use of technology for learning, absolutely. The tech is required to complete the task. Yes, if you have things that are online, the students must have the technology to be able to access it and to complete whatever it is you've asked them to do. It supports knowledge construction because, if you look up above, what we just talked about, but also because the technology makes it easy for them to go back and forth between the information, to be able to reflect, to be able to interact with their peers about a topic. It really gets them thinking and building new knowledge. And then students designing or creating a product. This could also be participating in a discussion. So it doesn't always have to be, a presentation or something. It could be that what they create is a discussion. Then our third one is self-regulation. Because students must plan and monitor their own work, the teacher can provide, like, okay, here are the things that you need to look at tonight before class tomorrow. Well, the student can look at those things in any order they wish. They must also be able to manage their time wisely. So if they know that they need to watch this 3-minute video and then post something in a forum, and they also need to go to this website and find a paragraph that they thought really supported an idea the best, and so on. There's all these different choices that they have, but they have to be able to get through and complete them in a timely manner. So those three, I think, are the best supports, blended learning supports for those. All right, so more ideas. Lots and lots of ideas here. I encourage you to check out our Pinterest board for the Introduction to Blended Learning. And if you're not familiar with Pinterest, I love Pinterest anyway. These images are not just images. These are actually a visual bookmark for a website or for a PDF. You just click on the image, it makes it bigger, and then you click on the image again, and it goes directly to the website where that was pinned from. And once it opens, you can see the information that is there. If you are a Pinterest user, you can also pin things that you find on our Pinterest boards, or you could just follow us, and you'll always see the things that we update. This one doesn't want to open. Let me go to a different one. And then some of these that have this kind of weird quilted looking or needlepoint, whatever you want to call it, that's because it didn't have an image on the site that it could pull into the pin. So you can just click on it again. There we go. And this was a PDF. And it will open up the PDF for you. And again, you can download it, print it, whatever you want to do, or just read it on your device. Okay. So that's Pinterest. And our disclaimer that we include in every one of our webinars. As with anything that you have students do online, whether it's creating an account for a tool like Google Docs or Edmodo or any of these tools, you need to make sure that you are aware of that tool's terms of service, or even if it's an app that you're using. You need to be aware of what student information is shared publicly. You also need to know if you are going to share student work, and that includes like a discussion post or something on a blog. You need to make sure you're aware of the laws that protect student privacy and data. And you also need to make sure you talk with your principal and get permission from parents. Our school district is currently working on our acceptable use policy that all parents sign. They're working on policies for things like this, like Web 2.0 tools and apps that have the potential for sharing student information. So just be aware. We also have a Pinterest board that has some great articles that really help you understand those laws. Makes it a little more easy for you to understand them. So that link is at the bottom right there. And if you're on Pinterest, you will find that as well if you're on our site. And if you want to learn more about being a 21st century educator, you can visit our website at wcsd21.com. Follow us on Twitter at WCSD21. And there's the link to our Pinterest boards. And I thank you very much for your attention. Feel free to email me there or follow me on Twitter, and the link to the slides are there as well. Have a great night.